Step 3, rediscover how to play. Play is important. There have been studies that were done that show that when people play, it increases their immune system, it boosts the endorphins, it helps with mental health. They also show that people, when they engage in play, that dementia or Alzheimer's disease was less. You have to learn how to play. One of the things that I did for my husband when he shared that me initiating sex was something he wanted to see more of, I went out, I bought me some Tarte, I bought me some baby oil. I set the mood, I had my lingerie on, I brought him home, I pushed him back on the bed. When he pushed back on the bed, he was like, whoa, what's going on? I said, don't talk, daddy. I straddled him. The music was going, trying not to slither around a little bit. And I looked at him, and I said, hold on, daddy. I bend over. Came up with my bright neon shower cap. I haven't been delivered yet from, understanding the whole thing with the presentation. We laughed so hard, my husband and I, we laughed so hard, I was like, I can't get no baby oil up in my hair. We laughed so hard, but we played. We got that baby oil, and it was funny because we did not have sex that evening. We had so much fun rolling around on the top and then diving, just all naked. Come on, baby, you go first. Just having a good time. It introduced play. And studies show for women, we need foreplay. So set the atmosphere, raise the temperature. Next slide. Laughter, we talked about this, increases the endorphins. Next slide, we already talked about that. Embrace the pleasure. Okay, let's talk about that. Next slide. So I want to quickly go over Masters and Johnson because I need you to understand this from a gynecological point of view. That there were studies that were done back in the 1960s which talked about human sexual response. And what we've been taught is that you have to have excitement first. I'm excited for sex. Then I plateau. Then after I plateau, I have an orgasm. So my body is getting excited as I'm in that moment. And then at that moment, I plateau and I go into an orgasm. And there's different things that are happening through the body throughout that stage. There's more engorgement, more blood flow to the area. The uterus will tilt. All these things. There's more lubrication from the vagina. And then I go into resolution. The next slide. What I really want you to get out of this is they changed it and made it 3. So now they said, well, you just need desire first. So desire is the first thing you need to have before going into, really feeling like you're ready. I got a desire, just feel like I want sex. Then my body will go into arousal from a physiological standpoint, and then I will have orgasm. What I want you to get out of this is that even though these studies were done way back in the day, there have been more studies that have shown that most women do not have desire first. We can, if my man touches me, then I might get aroused, or I might have desire, I might get a desire, and then it will move into arousal. So if you're not careful, you'll walk around thinking something is wrong with me because I can go 2 months, 3 months without sex. I don't need it all the time, and he needs it all the time. There's nothing wrong with you, but you may be more wired in the way that most women are, where you need to be aroused first, and then that takes you into desire, okay? Also, I want you to understand that most women, 85% of women, do not have orgasms with penile penetration. So if you are struggling with that, there's nothing wrong with you. You're like most women. But again, sex is an art. You got to fine tune it. You got to develop it. No one's really ever taught us where a G-spot is. No one's ever really taught us how to do slow intercourse. Stimulates the nerve endings within the vaginal walls. And if he can take his time and do it slow, and if he feels like he's going to come, grab the base of the penis and say, hold on, baby. And then we engage and go back and forth. But what it does is it creates an awakening that can cause you to orgasm. We can talk about that for questions and stuff later, if in the midst for time. Next slide. Stay committed and positive and don't give up. Hang in there. Your body is going to change. Be committed to developing and spicing up your sex life. Be okay with challenging yourself to do things that you've never done before. Next slide. Stay committed and positive. These are things that are sexual dysfunction. We can talk about sexual dysfunction later. You can catch me around. There are things where you're having low libido, you're having problems having orgasms, all of those different things that we can go into, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. What I want you to get out of this, ladies, is when we're talking about spicing up your sex life, next slide, next slide again, these are things that can inhibit sex for you. So if you're a smoker, if you have certain medical conditions, if you are into drugs, alcohol, depression can do the same thing. If you're walking around depressed, then you may also tend to feel it will affect your sexual life, okay, and your ability to have desire and arousal. So sometimes, again, we need to be okay with starting at the base and the root of where we need to start, getting the extra help that we need so that we can be able to spice it up. All right, physiological things or psychological things can also do it. Lack of sensate focus simply means that when I come into the bedroom, I'm not focused on him and the sexual encounter, but I'm focused on everything else, my job, my work, the kids, things like that. And I've heard the speakers talking about that already, so I'm not going to go into that again. Next slide. Okay, same thing. Next slide. Expect a change. Okay, and this is our last slide. Where am I? Am I okay? I got 2 minutes. Ooh, I got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. Expect change. Your body is going to change. What I want you guys to understand when we talk about mindset is when you get to a certain age, even when we're talking about menopause, and we've already defined menopause as a gynecologist, that's what I do. We're talking about menopause, and ladies come in, they're not having periods anymore, and they're experiencing vaginal dryness, which is going to affect your ability to want to engage in sex. But you need to expect the change and be willing now to take the next step so that your sexual health does not stop. Most people don't understand that we have a lot of ladies. I got a lot of ladies coming in the 60s and the 70s, and I got an 80-year-old that says, Dr. Smith, now my sexual life is important to me. So we're going to do whatever we need to do to fix that. So there are things we can do medically to help assist you to be able to keep what you do, but expect the change. Do not equate the lack of penetration or the lack of orgasm. That's what I want to say. Don't mistake the lack of orgasm for not having sex. If I don't have an orgasm, if I don't come, then wow, this was a fail. Your body is going to change. So you need to understand as your body changes, there are still ways to have healthy sexual encounters that bring you pleasure and all the things that you need. Next slide.